My name's Sellwood, and I run my own window cleaning business in Invercargill. Well, I have for the last 15 years, and I guess you call me a musical entrepreneur as well. I'm in bands, I'm a musician, I organise gigs. Do anything musical I kind of like, I'm really into. Cherrystock came about from a culture being created, I guess, and then there was a culture that was created, and Cherrystock was a viable thing. It came out of basically, it's gone full circle. Cherrystock was born out of nowhere for the musicians to play. Original musicians down here not really being taken as seriously, I think, as what they deserved. And now it's gone full circle again. Like, there's a real lack of supportive local venues that play local live music. Like, there is one or two, but then I believe they're not doing the job perhaps that they should be doing. They should be really promoting it and really pushing it, and I think a lot of promotion is one thing that lacks in Invercargill. What's happened is the town's being developed westerly, or wherever the hell it is, going west, right? So, but if you look out to what's being developed out there, it's predominantly industrial, commercial type buildings, not what I'd say is going to ever be a cultural hub of and Invercargill has always lacked that cultural hub. Like, I remember growing up in Invercargill, it was awesome going up East Street and that, because there was heaps of little exciting shops and bright lights and all the rest of it. But Invercargill's lacked that cultural hub, and I think that what they could do is focus on that, perhaps bring a bit more, putting something to draw, especially in a time of recession where people are watching their money. Have something in the centre that draws people to the centre without the need of money, just to make it interesting, do up historic buildings, have historic building tours even, if they're empty. I mean, there's no reason why they can't, they're not treating on anybody, just keeping them looking good, maybe a bit of a cafe culture, where predominantly seafood and farming community, but yet we seem to really lack food establishments that promote that. We have a lot of tourists coming to the deep south, a lot of tourists, and I know for a fact, even in Bluff, I'm in Bluff twice a month, and it's incredible the amount of people. It's never a dull moment at the point. It's always full, always 100% full. But that's all they're coming to the deep south for. We need to give them a bit taste of what we're. We've got so much culture down here, but yet Invercargill just doesn't. The Invercargill people don't grasp it, and what happens is, a lot of them move away because they can't be bothered doing anything, so they move to where it's already set up, it's already going or whatever. And then the entrepreneurs that maybe come from elsewhere and see the potential market are kind of not kept at bay, but they're made, it's sort of difficult for them to get something going because of all the red tape. There's a lot of red tape, and I mean, Invercargill's renowned for the red tape. Red tape this, red tape that, and more often than not, it seems that a lot of bad workmanship gets through, and it shouldn't, and I think that's how they could change the CBD, give it a bit more culture, and make it a draw card without needing to spend money, like art pieces and art galleries, local museum, a museum that's purely focused on deep south culture, Its strength is its weakness, which is, I think, I've always described Invercargill as the biggest small town in New Zealand, but also the smallest city in New Zealand. So we're kind of in a bit of a, I don't know what the word is, perhaps a paradox or whatever, that, as much as Invercargill really wants to be a big city, it doesn't. It still wants to be the small town, and that's the good thing about it, is that lifestyle's easy, it's cruisy as, it's easy to get around, rent's reasonably cheap, the people are really friendly generally, you always get the negative element, which unfortunately is always the noisy minority, but generally people are good, supportive, but by the same token, it's old money. There's a lot of out of town investors because of the fact that the population, people don't stay here because they want to go to the big, a lot of the youth go to the big lights. There's no people here to carry the message, so a lot of out of town investors buy up all the buildings and whatnot rather than locals. And So a lot of the buildings not fall apart, but they'll deteriorate and they don't look good, and so it's positive as it's negative. It's a small town, it's a big small town, but it's also a small city, and it's kind of, that's the thing. When you're a small town, you've got a lot of old money, you've got a lot of old control. Yeah, you know what I mean? But it also is what makes it simple. Life is simple. Alternative culture has always been prevalent. It's always been, it's always been somewhat a quiet, not majority, but definitely a big player in the culture in Invercargill, because there's not much for the younger people to do, so that they'll latch on to sporting culture, or they'll latch on to the music culture, and as soon as a body piercer opens up in town, 12, 15 years ago, of course it just straight away it took off, because you're limited to what young people can do, and of course young people's culture, so of course everyone goes out and gets pierced and tattooed. And then all of a sudden you've created a culture. I think per head of population, Invercargill's probably got the most alternative culture. It always has. But by the same token, this is what I was meaning about the positive. The positive is the negative. It's also got a prevalent, I don't like saying redneck culture because I don't think that's right, but definitely still old school farming culture where they just kind of don't comprehend it. You know what I mean? They just don't comprehend why people would want to do that. Similar thing, and of course they're the vocal ones. The alternative people don't want to make too much of a song and a dance, so it's always the ones that take offence at it that'll make the biggest stink. So I think the alternative culture is huge down here, and it always has been, really, for the size of the town, 55,000 people. It's a massive culture. I learned that I didn't want to be international celebrity. I learned I didn't want to be even a national celebrity because it's quite daunting. It goes back to the positive neck, small town, so everybody feels they know you anyway, but then when actually people start talking to you by name and you haven't got a foggy as who they are, that's scary, but man, it definitely goes up, it's up there with my, top 10 times of my life, as the 2 years I was doing that live show, because it opened up so many doors for me. Not so many doors, but opened my eye, everything I love about life, I was able to do while I was doing that TV show. I was able to act and play the goat, I was able to think and be intelligent, and I was able to meet heaps of my people I looked up to, Jordan Luck, Jordan Luck, and some people go, oh, what you do, it's Jordan Luck, but to me, a kid of the 80s, Jordan Luck was the man, made some good friends, everything that's taught about life, I can put into my experience doing that TV show, that's cool. For us to make it as just part of if you own a building in Invercargill, you have to keep it, in reasonable state of repair. I'd also watch, it's sort of hard to watch the zoning now because it's already been created, the drift has already been created, but maybe put a bit more thought into who's going where and what's going, because it is important, the thing, one of the principles of marketing is, it's good to have similar businesses all in one area because they can work off each other, and I think that's what Invercargill in a sense has become a bit higgledy-piggledy, whereas we could bring everything, industrials over there, commercials here, the cafe culture here, bars over here, total lack of public toilets. We talked about it 10 years ago on the TV show, we were taking the piss out of it, and still mate, lack of public toilets, the one thing that every human being has to do to complete lack of toilets is we need to grasp the tourist market that comes here, because it's huge. It's a huge tourist market that comes here, and I know by the amount of people that ask me directions every day, the amount of people we see going to the point every day, every time we're down there in Bluff, the amount of people I see walking past this corner now since I've been you know, part of the shop. It's just incredible. And maybe grasp the arts, you know. I mean, culture, a lot of culture is determined by the artistic side of people, you know. That's what drives them, you know. People aren't driven generally by their work unless they happen to be employed in the art that they love. So, you know, the art's what gives people passion, gives people freedom, you know, and we should grasp that a bit more. The empty buildings in Invercargill should be showing art, you know, they should have people's art hanging up. I mean, it costs nothing. If it's an empty building, it's not going to cost anything to hang art up at windows, you know, but just show the people that visit Invercargill what Invercargill's about, you know. And Invercargill isn't about drab, falling down old buildings that aren't kept upgraded. It's about a lot of vibrant individuals, lots of different cultures. We've got an incredible mix of culture. Māori culture has always been prevalent in the Deep South, but it's always just been intermingled. It's never been separatist like it has in the North Island, do you know what I mean? Just in the amount of visit, you know, we've got every race of people living in Invercargill, you know. We've got every walk of life, from the beautiful people, the models and all the Kardashian type people to the redneck cockies, you know, that come into town once every month to buy their groceries and pack and save, you know what I mean? And that's what we need to do. We need to show the visitors to Invercargill what Invercargill's all about.